All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dallas Chamber of Community Affairs. This morning, our guest is Erin Heideman. She is so much more than the president of the Oregon Wheat Growers League. Our history goes way back. Ag teaching is the first one, and that encounter and experience, along with my husband teaching at the same time, and doing something very special as far as just helping our kids with those agricultural skills and making sure they have the exposure for what they need. But Erin has taken it much more than that. She has an operating farm, and the family goes way back. Oh my gosh, they go way back. And so she'll be here today to sharing things specifically with the Oregon Wheat Growers League, and what is that, and helping. Obviously, our county is a huge part of that for Wasco County. But before we begin that, we're going to go around the room so that Erin knows who's on the screen and she has an idea who we represent. I know that we're a little bit light today, but I know that we also record and that we will be sharing this with our membership and our community. So we're going to start with my most favoriteest volunteer in the world, Corliss Marsh.
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh. I'm with Habitat for Humanity and the library and the senior center. And the big news I have this week is that on Saturday, the library is having a bag sale, a book bag sale. So you buy books by the bag and you choose your own books. It's not a grab bag. And it starts at $3 a bag at 9 o'clock and it goes to $2 at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. It's $1. And at 12, when we're cleaning up, you can take as many books as you want. So for free. So,
Awesome.
so we don't have to pack it up. All
There
right.
you go. Thanks, Corliss. Appreciate that. Tanya Brumley.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. So Tanya Brumley with Northwest Natural Gas. And the biggest thing I just want to share again is next month, September, Emergency Preparedness Month. So it's a time to get ready, be prepared for emergencies, and know how to plan. And we have partnered with multiple agencies so that on September 20th at the fire station in the Dalles off of 8th, you can come join for free an event to learn about the biggest part right now. I think we need to learn for many people is defensible space. That's was a big challenge in Rowena, as we all know. So anyways, multiple agencies, free lunch, free get ready, go bag for the first, I think 100, 300, 200 families. I don't know. You just come. I'm sure you'll get something free, whether it's knowledge or trinkets to take back. But really the knowledge is what we're really hoping people gain here. But it's from 10 to 1 at the fire station on the 20th of September.
Great. Thank you, Tanya. Appreciate that. If you want to, Tanya, and you have a link, throw that into the chat also. That would be great. And then Dawn Rasmussen.
Hi, Erin. My name is Dawn Rasmussen, and I've been in Dallas for about 9 years now. And I just launched a bid to the House of Representatives against Cliff Bentz. And so I've been talking to a lot of farmers and ranchers, and I know that they're hanging by the skin of their teeth. So I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about the state of affairs, because it's getting really tough for a lot of folks right now. So thank you for being here.
Thanks. Liz Lance.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Liz Lance. I'm the executive director of the Q Life Network, which is a fiber broadband network located in the Dalles. I live on a small farm that used to be farmed for wheat and hay, but other than that, no direct connection to Oregon wheat for my work.
Thank you. Leslie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Leslie Narramore. I'm the Executive Director of Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, which is the community action agency serving Hood River, Wasco, and Sherman counties. I don't have an update today, just happy to be here with you all.
Thank you, Leslie. We appreciate all the work you do. Phil, he said that he can only listen, so I'm assuming he does not have audio. I will introduce Phil for you. He is our Wasco County Commissioner, one of them, one of three. Phil actually makes a point to be here every week so he can stay in touch and connected with all that's going on, and has been very active and just a great listener and asking lots of questions for our county. If there's ever one that you need to talk to, Phil is a great one to connect with. We have Scott and Jeff also, but Phil makes a point to be present, and we appreciate that for so many different reasons. The only thing that I have for the chamber is our banquet is coming up. And it is September 11th. It fell on an amazing day. And so we are honoring first responders, military, along with our community awards. And so tickets are still for sale, but the deadline is tomorrow. So just go to the Dallas Chamber and it's right on the front page. We would love to see you there. I can't wait to honor the ones that we have. And no, I'm not telling you, it is a secret until I read their name at the bottom of this speech. That's the fun part. So anyway, that is what's happening there. And of course, we have all of our networking events. So going on every month, we're booked through the end of the year. So you guys can just grab a calendar and check our community calendar. Make sure your events are on that community calendar so that when people are planning their things, we're not stepping on each other's toes and having multiple events on the same evening. So please check those before you guys do some planning, even for next year. So with that, I will let Erin take over. I'm excited when I get to see a friend on the screen that I haven't seen in person for a while. So thank you so much for reaching out to us
Yes.
and doing this. So I'm going to let you take over, but I'm going to watch if anybody has any questions and they put them hands up or that, because I know that's really hard to do on your screen.
Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Just a pleasure. My name is Erin Heideman. I am a 6th generation farmer. So is my husband, and we own and operate Blown Away Ranch, about 10,000 acres in both Morrow and Gilliam County. And I am currently serving as the president of the Oregon Wheat Growers League, representing a little over 2,000 farmers. So a pleasure to be here and excited to share a little bit about what's going on with wheat, since wheat is a major commodity in Wasco County. Let's see if I can turn the screen here. So background, because I think we need to talk a little shop. Normally I would have supplies and handouts and all those things, much more difficult on a Zoom situation. So I kind of want to know what you know a little bit. Are you familiar with what a bushel is? Bushel is what, how wheat is measured. For perspective, and I don't know if you can see, nope, that's not going to work. A bushel is about a 5-gallon bucket, for perspective for you. The objective is to get the number of bushels per acre being about the size of a football field. So the number of 5-gallon buckets per football field is the objective. A lot of people in my space ask a lot about gluten. Gluten is a natural protein found in wheat. It is a wheat-only product. It's what lets your dough be stretchy. So when you see products like meat or eggs that are labeled gluten-free, duh, it is a wheat-only product. A lot of people ask me about glyphosate. You will commonly know it as Roundup. Roundup is a herbicide. It is never applied to wheat, as wheat is a grass and it would kill it. In our area, and a lot in Wasco County as well, you're in a dryland operation, very limited irrigation, which means a lot of your farm, in our perspective, half of our farm is in rest because it takes 2 years worth of moisture to grow a crop, and the other half is in crop. So when you see bare soil, just with nothing on it, that means that producer is saving that to plant in the fall. Glyphosate is applied to summer fallow, the bare ground, because we're killing weeds because they compete for moisture in the soil. A lot of folks were like, well, farmers just drowned everything. And if you knew the price of glyphosate and my $72,000 bill, you were not adding any more than is absolutely necessary. For perspective, per acre, per football field, about a pot bottle with 20 gallons of water as a carrying agent per acre, so that you were kind of aware of that space. And then GMOs. Wheat is not a GMO. And that's because 90% of what we grow here in the Pacific Northwest, Gilliam and Morrow, Wasco, for example, is shipped overseas. In fact, 100% of what I grow, last year it was the Philippines, and it might be Bangladesh or Korea this year. So I pay really close attention to those international markets. And right now, our international partners do not buy GMO wheat. There are 11 crops in the US that are. I was wondering if anybody could tell me what they were. And they have been for decades. There's 11 primarily. Corn, both sweet corn and field corn for livestock, soybeans, cotton, canola, sugar beets, apples, potatoes, alfalfa, papaya, squash, and sugarcane. So those are GMOs, and again, have been for decades. So just a little background. Okay, I'm one of a board member crew. In fact, our vice president, Thad Aiken, is from Grass Valley, so he's a little bit close to your region. Kevin Korn is from Ontario, and Wade Bingham, our immediate past president, is from Embler. So we represent a vast majority of our state, which is really nice. There are 6 classes of wheat in the U.S. Oregon, especially our region right here, do hard, soft white and hard red. And if you're familiar, and you may not be, there's 2 different types primarily. So white wheat, soft white wheat is usually made for noodles. That's where it goes. And then the hard red is for bread. 790,000 planted acres in Oregon, a huge economic value to our state. And again, most of it, and I'm sure that you are probably seeing the tail end of harvest in the Dalles specifically, with all the truck traffic probably heading to the river. It's kind of a nightmare to get behind. We know it's hard for us to navigate it as well, but it does go pretty fast considering. Farmers generally, as a golden rule, plant by Halloween. That's kind of the objective date, Halloween. Your insurance date will probably require by mid-November, but we just, for perspective, we just try to gauge that about Halloween, and then harvest around the 4th of July. That's usually our growing season. So we put it in the ground and hope to goodness it comes up. So literally putting all of our eggs in one basket. These are the top destinations for white wheat in Oregon, from Oregon to the world, which is pretty cool. I know there's always some questions about how the Ukraine-Russia war has affected production and shipping, and there's some challenges. Oregon wheat growers right now are getting prices that my granddaddy got in the 90s. So very, very hard to stay in business right now. As we know, the prices are definitely anything but what happened in the 90s. So I remember when fuel went from 97 cents over $1, and I was in college and I thought I was going to die. And now when I get my fuel bill, because we get 3,000 gallons delivered at a time, it's significant and one of those choking moments. So when it goes to the farm, this is kind of what it looks like. The pictures that you see here, this is my middle son, Liam. He's been running the Arlington elevator. He just graduated from high school. And I've learned a lot about that space because I've never run an elevator. I've usually been in the combine. I'm now the truck driver and the lunch lady because I can do both at the same time. But Liam has shared with me that it takes about 8 hours to load a barge. They have to check it for protein because there's got to be a specific protein that Miller's one on the other end. So he has to check that protein percentage every 10 minutes. So it's quite a process that I'm learning, and I thought I knew a lot about wheat, so it was pretty cool. This is what it looks like at the Port of Portland. So it's either shipped via rail or via barge. It goes in these big elevators, and then it goes on an ocean vessel. And wheat is mixed from all over when you get it out of Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. Again, it's based on usually a miller's order on what they want for protein. 3 parts of Oregon wheat is the league. That's where I'm president of. The league is general membership. Most of what we're responsible for is education. I spend, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times a year in DC. I was in Salem about every 7 to 10 days during session, just doing my part to educate our lawmakers to make sure that I'm doing my level best as president to keep Oregon wheat moving. Then you have the commission side. The commission is appointed by the Department of Agriculture. It is a lot more rules and regulations that come into a commission space. Kind of a neat little tidbit is I have 4 younger brothers. My first brother, Tyler Hansell, is the chairman of the Wheat Commission. So our dining room tables, our combos are pretty good. And it's really special. And then the final part is foundation. And this is where we'll see a golf tournament. This is where your scholarships come from. Oftentimes your baking contest, perhaps your county fair, it's all via the foundation. Oregon Wheat was started 100 years ago. In fact, I'm going to Salem on Thursday. We're declaring an official Oregon Wheat Day, February 11th this coming year. And it was started by a bunch of growers, actually Gilliam, Morrow County for the most part. Weatherford, Marion Weatherford is this guy right here, or excuse me, this one right here. You might recognize that name from the Gilliam area, perhaps. He was a longtime judge. So a really neat space to get to be a part of. We are planning a number of activities. One of them is a specific dedicated Pendleton wool blanket, specifically for wheat. And then I'm working with a distiller out of Joseph to create a 100-year wheat whiskey. You know, important things. So here's some of the stuff that we've done to the league. This is my younger brother, Tyler. So this is just some of the things that we do a few of it. This is me in Salem. And you know, you go to those things, you get to serve ice cream. So it's not always professional. I don't know how much you know about the Farm Bill or if it's even relevant to this group, if you even want to chat about it. There's a lot to it. This is our group last year. This is our wheat magazine that is put out every couple months, on the Hill advocating for a Farm Bill. One of the things that might be of interest is the Farm Bill, and I think I have a slide here. Here we go. The most of the Farm Bill are SNAP benefits. So, you know, EBT cards, feeding people, that's what a farmer's job is, right? We delight in feeding people. The hard part is we haven't had a Farm Bill since 2018, which means when I use my insurance and my insurance pays out, I get paid based on the number of acres that I have and a proven yield over a 10-year period. Excuse me. There's what they call a reference price, and this is what a bank can loan on. Well, banks will only loan on what they can guarantee that you're going to get back, which in this situation, since we have not passed a Farm Bill, it's 2018 prices. So a lot of times banks will not loan to producers because there's not the guarantee that they're going to get their money back via insurance or reference prices later on down the road. So we have to get a Farm Bill passed, if not just for that. But there's a lot of nuances, right? There's the political give and take in all of those spaces. So just a very interesting picture. So you can find us online. We have our annual convention coming up in November. That's usually where I see Lisa and John in person. So pretty special space to get to be a part of. And with that, can I answer any questions? I knew I moved a little fast.
Check it out.
There we go. You would think I could know how to take myself off of mute by now. Yes, I'll come to you next in just a second, Dawn. Can you do just a brief why or what it takes to get your Farm Bill through? Kind of walk us through that, a little bit of process of why don't we have one since 2018?
You just can't
and what
get
is it that
the
it
House? There's too many other things. The big beautiful bill was going through,
Okay.
and a number of other things. Transition of leadership federally makes a big part of that. So, and Dawn, if she
Okay.
moves into that space under Ben's, in fact, I saw Ben's yesterday, and Nash and Levy spent some time there with cattlemen and wheat growers about what we needed and what was going on. We'll see. There's a lot of reorganization that's happening that we are all seeing with the BBB.
Okay.
We struggle a little bit with a few of them from a wheat grower's perspective, especially with the reorganization of the USDA and what that means for closing and accessing programs and research.
Okay.
So that was part of
Great.
our
Thank
convo
you.
yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Dawn, did you have your hand up? Yes.
Oh.
Then I will ask Phil's question after that.
Oh, great.
Thank you. I was busy taking notes. That was actually leading into my question. And I've been talking to ranchers and farmers, and it's been just devastating. A lot of them, and especially with the wheat farmers, it's an export issue. I'm assuming that tariffs are impacting your.
You would think so, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. The tariffs have not affected us necessarily quite yet, but US Wheat's based out of DC, a lot of offices, one in Portland,
Mhm.
are working extraordinarily hard to keep those lines of communication open. Oregon Wheat has hosted, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 trade teams
Mhm.
here in the last few weeks, and that's been very encouraging. I've met with 4 of them. So far, we're selling, and the tariffs haven't impacted us in that space quite yet. One of the concerns, actually, I don't know if you remember, it was about 6 months ago, there was a big conversation with China and boat building.
Mhm.
If that had gone through, not a wheat farmer would probably exist in Oregon.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
would decimate the entire off.
Yeah.
Oh, it has in cherries. Ah, wow.
It just sounds like between inflation,
Yes.
prices, fuel costs, extreme weather events, and tariffs. It sounds like farmers are just barely hanging on, and some
They are.
they're not making it. The margins
No.
were very thin to begin with, and now we're not getting
Right.
federal support through programs to be able
Dawn,
to.
I have a double master's degree. My husband has a BS. Do you want to know how much money we make a year?
Probably not.
$9,000.
I believe it. Yeah.
After everything is said and done, I make $9,000.
Yeah.
Now, why do I do this? Because you have an absolute deep passion for it, and it's the best way to raise kids. My husband and I have raised 3 boys. In fact, my youngest, 16, just left for school. We kind of jokingly refer to having 8 boys because we've kind of collected a few along the way. And it's the best way to raise kids. They have a work ethic, they know what to do, they're capable, and I love that space for them. Now, can I offer what a lot of other families can do? No, not necessarily, but I'm at everything. And I have the luxury of being able to do that. And so that there is the gift.
I think a lot of farmers share that same passion. It's the backbone of the American economy, basically.
And none of us want to be the generation that lose it.
Right.
I don't want to have to stand at the pearly gates of heaven and see my pops and go, sorry. I just don't want to be in that way. And you know it from the beginning because you sit on one of these machines at 6 months old. I mean, it's everybody in the field all the time. And it's extraordinarily special. But challenging. Sometimes it's amazing to maintain a marriage. There's some hard things that go with all the things. When it's hot and you've broken down, and there's no money, and your mother-in-law lives next door, and there you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Phil, I'm gonna let you answer it. I'll let you make a comment if that answered your question regarding tariffs, while I let Stacy ask her question.
Yeah, good.
You
Stacy
there,
said that it was
Stace?
affecting cherries.
Hi,
Yes.
Stacy Cooper, the Dalles Cherry Grower Sweet Cherry Commission. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we saw the effects in cherries, apples. Our world is run by apples because we connect ourselves with apple packers.
I see.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you're saying, and yes, the farm bill for us is huge with insurance and all that. Yeah, you're right. We're the generation that are going to make it or break it, because if something doesn't change in legislation, I'm a small cherry grower, and every year do I just lease out to the big guys? Because it's exhausting.
It's terrible.
It's absolutely exhausting.
Well, and
We
how do
made
you
no
make
money
it?
this year.
Yes. Well, and how do you make it attractive for the next generation? How do I make sure one of my boys wants to come into this mess?
How do we make the farm bill give us a floor?
Boy, if I knew that,
that's-
I wouldn't have had to be in DC 4 times the last year.
But I mean, I'm saying,
Yeah.
is that where we need to be campaigning on the farm bill to get rid of the cookies? I mean, I know wheat does cookies and stuff, but how do we get rid of the junk and make the farm bill support the outside of the grocery store and give us a floor in fruit and produce and
It
wheat
will be
and bread?
very interesting to see what happens if and when a bill is ever passed. As we know, the administration is moving
It's scary.
at an extraordinarily fast speed, and then sometimes has to backtrack on
Right.
how things are happening. opinions, of course, all of us. SNAP benefits, because it takes up so much of our farm bill, that we're just squeezing the last little bit for the rest of us that are actually producing the food so that benefits can be had. And
Yeah,
I
but
have a
that's what
little
I'm
bit of
saying.
frustration in that space. Not that I don't want to feed people, because that is my job as a farmer. And that is my
Right.
passion, is to feed people.
But how do we target that SNAP piece? How do we say, we need you, we want to do the SNAP, but how do we leverage price in that SNAP for farmers to keep feeding the people?
Yeah,
How do we
I
go
don't
about it
know.
that way? That's
I don't
my
know.
thought process.
Ideas
like,
are welcomed. I mean, we're all just pulling at straws here. But you know, when we say in the countryside, and that, if you're ever on DC on the Hill, they say, oh, what's happening in the countryside?
yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, it's happening in downtown Chicago and DC. Like, how is this necessarily the countryside? But they talk a good talk, right?
Right.
Oh yes, we want to help the countryside. We want to do all of those things. But when push comes to shove, I think that there are some folks that have a bigger space at the table than ag does.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Obviously, we're like 1% of the population.
Right. And we don't have the money to throw at it. So,
Nope.
and we all know money talks.
Yep.
Just keep talking, keep visiting. You know, if you have Dawn get into a space where she's on the hill, then there's your space. And you just keep talking as to why this is happening and the impact specifically. Like, tariffs aren't going to affect me quite yet. We'll see what happens. And I'm willing to kind of stay the course, as I've done for 9 months, to see what happens. But if it's affecting you right now as a cherry grower or an apple grower, that's not my purview. I would not know that if you had not shared that with me, but you need to share that with your reps. Call them. Call Bence right now. Talk to his staff or Nick. Now, whether it gets past Nick, we'll see, but that's been a challenge in some spaces as well.
And we have Northwest Hort that does a lot of that for us. We pay into that, and Riley Bouchette, and yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the state laws regarding farming and employment had a negative effect on your farm? Not on mine necessarily, because I still have boys working and I don't have to hire out. However, 2 of my boys worked other places this year. They got their 40-hour work week in by Wednesday. They had 80 hours by Saturday and had 57 hours of overtime, because you it's ag overtime is what I'm assuming that you're referring to, kicks in at 48 hours. I don't know how businesses are staying in business being able to do that, which is why I'm still driving semi and my father-in-law at 75 is still driving truck, because I can't necessarily afford to hire all of those people and then manage those employees appropriately. It's hard. And especially when you're in like the cherry business or apple business, you know, where the labor is an absolute crucial part. I can do 10,000 acres with 4 of us. You cannot do that in a specialty crop like that. Wind farms, complementary and wheat, both production and financial. Oh, very question. So we do have wind towers on our place. It's allowed my in-laws to retire. We're part of the Shepherd's Flat Wind Project. There are 7 landowners in that. Here's my perspective. You either love them or you hate them. And I think that just is what it is. Financially, it's been very good for my in-laws, and it's allowed my husband and I to farm, which has been a gift all into itself. Over the course of these towers have been on for 12 years, and over that course, they've taken up about 40 acres out of production, so 40 out of 10,000. In the same vein, if it was solar, it would cover all of it. So at least I feel like we're farming within 5 feet of the towers themselves. And the towers are owned and operated by another entity altogether. They have their own maintenance crew. We have nothing to do with that space. I think it can be complementary. I think, well, in this case, it allowed us to pass it on to the next generation, especially with the prices that we have right now. I don't know if that would have been available. I struggle in the solar world quite a bit, because you cannot return that land to production or be able to do anything underneath it. However, I never want to be in a position where I would ever dictate to a landowner what they can and cannot do with their space, especially if you don't have a generation coming behind you that wants to farm. They've all moved out and away because they can make more money somewhere else.
Thank you. Great questions, everyone.
I appreciate it very
Anyone
much.
else? Go ahead, Dawn.
Erin, I have a question.
Sure.
In your perspective and just from the folks you've been talking to, have you been seeing farms going belly up and being bought by foreign interests? That's a concern.
Not in my region, not in Moscow. I see a lot of producers leasing out as they're aging. And so they're leasing out to the younger guys that are coming. And they don't want to sell quite yet because, again, it goes back to the, man, this was my granddaddy's. I just can't do that. But I do see them leasing out more and more and more. And that's one way that that guys are able to get into the farming game that ordinarily wouldn't have been able to, because they're you know, if mom and dad are still on the farm and the kid wants to come home and farm, but there's not enough to support 2 full-time families in that space, son goes out and leases. Well, if those leases then are filled with solar, there's no opportunity for that too. And then number of farmers in our region continue to dwindle.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's a balancing act, and I don't want my message to be, well, don't. Everybody needs to have the autonomy to do what they think is in the best interest of their own personal business and property. No question.
I think I saw a cited statistic that said that farm bankruptcies are up 55% now.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Well, how do you supplement it? Which is why
terrifying.
so many moms are now working off farm too. Because you have, you know, we're on private insurance. I taught for 27 years and got a chance to farm full time. And let me tell you, that's private insurance is miserable, miserable, and covers nothing.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that question.
What else? Is there anything else? I need to see, is it Tanya Broom or Brum?
Oh, Tanya Bromley.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we want you and your family. Oh, that's your, prepare. I'm looking at the flyers in the chat. That's a great idea.
Well, and I will just share, I saw Amanda in the picture. She's a distant cousin of mine.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And I am one of the, I guess you would say the offspring of wheat farmers and ranchers who do no longer do that. I live on the ranch. My parents leased to Cherry and to other wheat ranchers, but the way that we can live on here affordably and still have a lifestyle of, you know, decency is they lease it out. But I will have to say, being the 4th generation here, I do have concerns when my parents pass, how that transition is going to work, because we are not active ranchers. My husband does do cattle now that he's retired from his primary job. And I do have concerns about the transition as they pass and what will happen to the ranch and how that will stay and how we will be able to inherit it and not lose it due to all the taxes and
the inheritance tax, and you've got to pay it within 9 months.
And it is a challenge, and there's nothing easy about owning land. And I think people find it romantic, and they don't understand the process, and they don't understand the stress that nature puts on there. And so it is not romantic, hence why I did not go into farming. So
it's a hard life, but it's rewarding. But the transition of ground to one person to the next is awful. It's awful.
Well, I appreciate that encouragement.
We're setting ours up into a trust. My in-laws have a trust, and then my husband and I have a trust, in hopes of making those transitions make it, or my kids are going to be burdened with, you know, because it looks like we're very wealthy on paper because the land is worth something and equipment is worth something. I mean, I could never apply for any college scholarships. You know, my middle boy's heading to Western next week, and they're like, oh, apply. And I'm like, no. Because I'm not going to spend the time to do it, because they will look at my financial statement and go, oh my gosh, you have so much money. I said, no, we're real cash poor. But it looks like we have a lot on paper. So when that happens, that's what the federal government will look at. And then all of a sudden you're taxed at a rate that's going to be a couple million per kid. And they have to pay that in 9 months. Like, how is that even reasonable? And it's the same land that's been taxed the same way over generations. Like, at what point do we say, okay, enough? Because it just got inherited because somebody died. Now we have to pay. Like, how is that fair? But I think that would be the same for a business in general. Like, if you were passing out a shoe business or a grocery store, I would imagine would be a lot of the similarities.
Well, and I think the challenge with farming and ranching that I always struggled with is you raise something that you have no control of what the end price is going to be. And as many of us in the local area, Ken Pulling is also a cherry farmer, and has written about a lot of these stories, which I think has brought it to the forefront of people who are not in the ag world. And where else can you go and not know at the end of the day, after you put all this money out, how much you're going to get paid? Like, we don't go to work every day and expect, well, maybe I'll only get $1 today, even though my expenses to get to work was $5. Or, you don't, even with our beef, you just don't, unless you're in some sort of niche that you can really dominate that market. But that's few and far between. And then that's so much energy to get into those markets and try to create those markets, and they're labor intensive as well in a different manner. It's just a really challenging world. And I think that process has to change as well. The farmer has to be able to control some of that price so that they retain their expenses and then make a profit. Everyone needs to make a profit.
Yes. Well, and
to
paying the
live.
transportation both ways. So I pay the transportation to get the seed and all the fertilizer, et cetera, to me. And then I have to pay to get my product to market. I have to pay. I pay 2 cents per bushel to have it stored per month until I get ready to sell. And I watch the markets every day to see if I should sell now. And there's a lot of political discourse, of course, between Russia, Ukraine, and the US, and what that will mean in all of the things. Ukraine, just as an example, produces more wheat than the entire Pacific Northwest put together. What's the first thing that Russia did when they invaded Ukraine? They were starting to bomb ports so that they couldn't get their wheat out of the market, so that Russia could be a bigger player on the world stage, because it's Russia, Australia, and the US, and Canada, which are the major players in wheat. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's awful to think about that one farmer from one part of the world will benefit from a demise or something happening in the other. And that's a terrible space. So if Australia has a drought, I'm in good shape. If Ukraine is taken over by Russia, I'm probably in good shape. That's awful.
Well, and Stacy could probably speak to that on the cherries too, with how California works, and as it moves up the West Coast, how our markets are affected by that as well.
Yeah, greatly. So
well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Any other questions?
But it's a great life. It really is to get in the work in the field with your kids side by side, and they get to work with their grandpa side by side. I have 4 younger brothers too, and they're all in the farming game, and our kids are in the field together with us all the time. It really is a gift. But Christmas could just be oranges. So there's that.
But Erin, thank you. Thanks for coming on, not just talking about from the Oregon Week side, but also just from a farmer with feet on the ground, and a family doing this. I know that's what I married into, and then later on we changed. I had no idea until I married him, and he was a person who would not have been able to do that had we not had the leasing, because that's how John did that. He leased and then he managed, and so those are different things that gives those families opportunities to do that. And like you said, there's things that could take over a field, and then those opportunities start to dwindle for those aspects. So everybody has to do, well, like you said, everybody has to do what's right for them. But meanwhile, we need to know what's the best way that we can advocate for this besides calling and making lots of phone calls and emails. Please keep us, our chamber does advocate. We do this, but there's some things I don't know what's going on. I'm focused on business, but our wheat farmers are a business. So if there are some issues and measures that I can be helping with and supporting, and at least sending in letters to represent the Wasco County, please let me know. I will gladly do that for that. As you know, ag is huge for me. It's part of what we do. We don't ever want to let go and not represent them from our chamber's point of view. It's how our chamber started, farmers and businessmen coming together in the 1800s. So
Well, we do have a farm experience Airbnb on the farm, a 100-year-old little
Oh,
farmhouse. And
yeah.
we're starting a barn venue. So if you ever get the itch to come this direction and sit on something, I can help with that.
I will. That'll
Yeah,
be
connect
fun.
with me, and our website is blownawayranch.com too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to respect Erin's time. I know she is a busy lady. And always. So, but if we don't have any more, then I will let us go. And Erin, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
That was
Pleasure.
great.
Bye-bye.
I appreciate it. Bye. So everybody take care and have a great weekend. Make sure that you get out there. And my famous phrase, support local.